Hello, here we're going to look at 1.4, the distributive property. Here's the why. We often mass produce things to be efficient. Distributing allows us to do this mathematically. Some examples of when you may see the distributive property is if you imagine a teacher is passing out notes to all students, they make multiple copies of the one page of notes and then pass out the notes to all the different students. They distribute to all the different students. Another example would be if you are going to a restaurant or placing an order for food and you wanted, 6 chicken strips and an order of fries, but then a sibling says, hey, I want to go too. You can double it. All right, then you'll have 12 strips and an order of fries. So it helps on changing the size of an order. Working with shapes and other designs as well. When you're designing things, sometimes you double or triple the size. You can also distribute with fractions and make things half as large or 1/3 as large. Maybe you've done this with an image on a computer to where you need to shrink the size. You distribute a new size to it, and it affects the whole picture at a time and allows it to shrink proportionally. So I now ask you, what are some situations where you have seen or used distributing, where everything changes by multiplication of the same number, like this doubling an order? Or maybe where you've seen that one thing gets passed out to everyone. And if you think back to the beginning of the school year here, there's been multiple items that have been distributed to all the freshman students. So you could think about that. Or other situations may be different than some of these, to where a total order or a total amount of something has been multiplied to accommodate for more people or more sizing, something like that. One thing we're going to look at is something called simplest form. And that's going to be the way that we want to write our expressions so that we can have them in the proper way. Now, one thing about simplest form that we'll call standard form is you need to put your variable term first. So this expression here, 10y plus 7, has the variable term first. It's the 10y. Now some vocabulary here for us. This is the variable. A number that's with a variable is called a coefficient. Coefficients tell us how many of a variable that we have. And then numbers on the end, so just plain old numbers, are called constant. So for something to be in simplest form or standard form, we want the variable term first, and if there's exponents, you want to put the highest exponent first, and then decrease down. Right, and this also means that constants come last. Right, and you also need like terms combined. Now, like terms would be if we had two sets of constants or two sets of the same type of variables. So if I had a 5y plus a 4y, I would need to shrink that down to a 9y via like terms. And we'll explore more on this later. But the distributive property is another way to simplify expressions. A typical combo meal at McDonald's contains a burger, fry, and a drink. Imagine you wanted to get this combo for 5 people. How many burgers and fries and drinks would you get? A concept like this is the distributive property, where if we had a burger, a fry, and a drink, and we're ordering this 5 times, the distributive property has us multiply that 5 to all the different components. So we'll now have 5 burgers, 5 fries, and 5 drinks. Now imagine there is a special new combo. This time you get 2 hamburgers, 2 fries, and 1 drink. We're getting the same combo for 5 people. So how many hamburgers, fries, and drinks would you get? This is the distributive property. So we would get 10 burgers, 10 fries, and 1 drink. This problem here is a throwback to Steak and Shake, which I know there's not very many of those restaurants left. But they used to run a special back when I was in high school where you could get 2 burgers, 2 fries, and a drink for a low amount of money. And I'd go up there with my friends, and our table would just be covered with hamburgers and fries because of the distributive property. For the rest of this, we will do together as we explore the distributive property and making sure that we're all on the same page of simplifying expressions.